Welcome back to That Atleti podcast. Bit of a celebratory vibe on the show today. Jeremy Barron and Ricky Menendez here with you. The best Atleti podcast in the land, back on your screens and in your ears. Ricky, we have had quite the exciting week as Atletico fans, observers. 13 goals in the past 3 games, 10 in the past 2, back-to-back Manitas, and a historic thrashing of Real Madrid, which is where we're going to start.
What a crazy thing that 20 minutes before the end of the Rayo game, we're 12 points away from Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Literally a world and a half apart. And right now, we've definitely have gotten under their skin again. And I think this has been a momentum changer for Atletico Madrid. You were talking to Danny last week, and you were saying that Atletico probably would kickstart their league and their competition there. This momentum that they're trying to find, if they could pull off a win, and what a win that was! Don't you think?
You were there, man. It was a very different experience for you being there versus me watching it on television, but I kind of couldn't believe what I was watching. I bet you couldn't either.
It was a very exciting match, and I would say I was not very happy at halftime. Was a little bit like same mistakes that are costing us so dearly. The defensive lack of
just the lack of intensity and the lack of just
finally
common
figured
sense
it out.
defending.
The best way of defending is keeping the ball very far away from Lenormand and Lenglet on defensive duties.
Listen, Lenormand's become a poacher. Listen, 2 goals in 2 games.
Yes, exactly. I still haven't forgiven him for his terrible second goal for Real Madrid. It was all on him. Lenglet had a very big mistake in the first goal. I'm just extremely underwhelmed with their defensive performance. But on the other side of the coin, we have the offensive firepower, and I think that Julian Alvarez is the epitome and the epicenter of this offensive explosion and exuberance, and it's just a delight to see the most exciting player in Europe. I've been reading headlines similar to that one on different media and outlets, and I can't agree more. He's a player that can really change the fate of Atletico Madrid this season.
He's the most complete forward on earth, and he wasn't nominated for the Ballon d'Or. I hate to keep bringing that up and like beating a dead horse, but it's absurd. It's unprofessional.
We cannot stress that enough. These kind of awards or accolades are dominated by media pundits, pieces that seem to rival them setting their winning horse, and only 2 or 3 players are actually in contention, and it seems that they have to play for specific sides to get nominated. And I think that accolades apart, and the Ballon d'Or is just a global embarrassment of an award in the way it's set up. I would say that Atletico Madrid has found its footing and is taking big strides both in La Liga and in Europe, in the Champions League, to be that dominant side that we were expecting to see, and that upgrade that we were hoping for. The funny thing about this upgrade is that it's an upgrade with the old pieces. So how the heck are we going to fit in the new pieces that are the flashy add-ons that we have for this season without diminishing the stellar performances that we've seen, especially offensively, in recent matches? And I think we can talk about many players that have had key contributions. I would like us to focus on 3 before we continue talking about any other players. Koke, Griezmann, and Barrios. I think that Barrios has kicked the wall down that has um, restrained him as a as being perceived as a generational talent, and his two or three last performances, I think, are going to solidify that status that he should have, both as an Atletico player, but also as a Spanish national team player. I'm hoping that when many of our listeners are finally listening to this, he's already received the nod to go back to the Spanish national team, a place where he has a more than deserved spot, in my opinion.
He
What do you
belongs
think
there.
about this?
That would be expecting Luis de la Fuente to watch Atletico games, which I'm not really sure he does, because he would
I
have called
guess
up Marco
he's
Sorrente
watched
by
at
this
least
time.
one of them, the last Liga match. I think he has watched that one. That's a good thing about playing Real Madrid. I mean,
Everyone watches that.
if you pull off a shocking win, and I don't think the wins get more shocking than this one. I mean, even the Real Madrid Barca drama scores of 5-0 or 0-5.
Yeah, the
They've always
Classico gets
been
squirrely
they've,
like
they've
that.
always
But
had a side that was perceived as very dominant, but Atletico came into this game as an underdog, as a team that was fighting to survive and to find its footing in La Liga, and it walked away um, with a solid claim to the Liga title, no matter how many points that is currently away, because it's proven that it can compete against the greatest sides. We already started to see that versus Liverpool. The Rayo game was filled with so much drama and self-inflicted wounds
yes,
that
but
that
that was a
last
real
minute
sliding doors moment, falling
that
behind 2-1
last
in that
minute
game.
win, that gritty last minute win, I think we walked away with a bittersweet feeling of so many mistakes are going to cost us dearly against bigger sides, and seeing we had Real Madrid, Eintracht down the road, it seemed like a source of worry. But Simeone has realized that the farther the ball is away from the defensive line, the more uh, the more powerful Atletico can seem as a side.
I'm sure that most of our viewers have seen this stat by now because we wrote about it on Into the Calderon, but that was the first time in 75 years Atletico have put 5
Yes,
past Real
sir.
Madrid.
Yeah.
I mean,
Uh,
that says it all, really.
a historical 3-6 with goals by Ben Barrack, I think. A brace by Ben Barrack, if I'm not
Jeez.
mistaken.
1950. That was before our
Exactly.
time.
Way before.
Maybe just a little bit.
Thankfully,
But
we're old. We're not that old.
in my opinion, Ricky, the two biggest problems that we're facing at Atletico de Madrid, and I'm going to wrap my analysis of Barrios into this because he's helped solve these problems. The two biggest problems were offensive inefficiency and the lack of that word Simeone loves to use, the forcefulness, contundencia, the lack of forcefulness in the penalty areas and specifically in defense. Atletico have gotten a tick better defensively, still not great. We've kept one clean sheet in 9 games this season. That's, for a team of Atletico's level and Atletico's reputation, that's disappointing. And it would be unacceptable if we hadn't won these past couple of games the way we've won them. But we've gotten better on the chance creation front as well. And you were hinting at this earlier. This is without Thiago Almada, who was one of the new signings that was expected to make Atletico a more offensive, possession-heavy side. We're doing this without him right now. Johnny Cardoso hasn't played since round 3. He's been out for the last month. Almada's
And
been out.
Baena played
Diana's
an
played
odd
5
half an hour.
minutes.
Yeah,
Played half an hour.
all season long.
Yeah, he played 65 minutes against Espanyol. Gets the assist for Griezmann in the derby, which was such a great moment. And we know what Baena said about wanting to play with Griezmann and how Griezmann's been a reference point for him. That was such a cool moment to see them pointing at each other when Baena
Yeah,
fed Griezmann the
that was
assist.
very nice.
And then
Goal
Baena got
199.
that was 199, and then he scored
to the
200.
end. Exactly.
But
Yes.
There was a stat I came across today about Barrios from our pals at Atletico Stats. In the top 5 leagues this season, Ricky, Pablo Barrios ranks 4th in ball recoveries among all players in the top 5 European leagues. In La Liga, he is 2nd in recoveries in the opponent's half. We're seeing a player who he has been liberated a bit because he's not playing as a 5 anymore. Koke has brought, and we're going to talk about Koke in a second, but he's brought that stability and he's brought that calmness and that organization in the midfield line that has allowed Barrios to play further up the pitch as an 8, his natural position. And we're seeing this in how highly he grades out in ball carrying, forward passing, progressive passing, just his interpretation of space, his connection with Giuliano Simeone is excellent. We're seeing a player who is more and more becoming a leader of Atletico de Madrid, a player who is probably eventually going to be the captain. I think this is the next number 6 of Atletico when Koke steps away. You're seeing a player who is really blossoming and taking the reins. And, even when he has quieter games, like I would characterize the Real Madrid game as a quieter game for him in terms of like attacking output or end product, he was everywhere. He runs just all the time. And that characterizes this Atletico team, is that it's a team that has forced, I think, the 4th most high turnovers in La Liga so far this season. And that speaks to how successfully the style of play is being implemented, the players' confidence in it. The physical fitness of the team is also growing. And Barrios is one of the most physically fit players we have. And against Eintracht Frankfurt, we saw a bit more of that attacking output from Barrios. He played the long ball to Alvarez, and then Alvarez laid it off for Griezmann for his 200th Atletico goal. So, Barrios has been someone I've kept my eyes on since 2021, 2022, and to see him blossom into a first team star, it's something different when a player comes from your academy and does this. It's really special. And we saw it with Koke, loath many years ago. We're seeing it with Barrios now, and that's so exciting.
It is. And before we move on to Koke or Griezmann, you touched on Giuliano Simeone. What a derby he played, and what a way of deactivating a slew of players. I mean, I think that the massive devaluation that Carreras has suffered as a player just in that one match is incredible due to how much he suffered playing against Giuliano Simeone. Vinicius could not keep up with the kid, and he tried to get under his skin, and he couldn't. We're going to talk about Vinicius for a very short while at the end of the podcast. Yes. and even Jude Bellingham, who is not in top shape, struggled against Giuliano Simeone. I think that this match has definitely proven that that Cholito Simeone is elite. He's an elite player. He's earned his spot as an elite player among the starting. I mean, in the starting 11. In all due right, and I am really surprised, positively surprised at the progression of the progression this player has experienced over the course of the last 2 seasons. I think that this is a turning point for his career, and he's definitely a player that is not going to be considered just an add-on to the starting 11, but a player that is very relevant for Atletico Madrid and for their offensive aspirations, even though he played a key defensive role versus Real Madrid as well.
Well, and the club seems to feel the same way, man. Marca reported today that Atletico are finalizing the last details of Giuliano's renewal to 2030. This has been rumored for several months, and you will remember this better than I will because I was not even 2 years old when it happened. But Marca compared Giuliano's header against Eintracht Frankfurt to Cholo's header against Albacete in the league winning.
Oh, that's a big comparison.
In '96.
I mean, I hope we have another Albacete moment at the end of the season. That would be a good one. I mean, we probably don't play the last match at home, do we? Do we play an away game again?
I assume we do. Just it's an assumption
I
at this point. You
assume
have
we're
to
going to
assume
play
it.
another away game, but yeah, it's good. I mean, hopefully it's not the last big Giuliano Simeone goal. But it just goes to show we talked about this when Atletico was really struggling at the beginning of the season. That maybe it was an unfortunate part of the plan. That even though Atleti should have come away um, with the 3 points against Espanyol, against Elche, those Alaves, those first matches where Atletico struggled so much, they just seemed to be out of shape. They didn't seem to be at their peak performance point. So that sense of having heavy legs, being slower than the opponent, is something that has slowly faded. And against Real Madrid, Atletico de Madrid was um, completely dominant. I don't think that anybody that watched that game can say that Atletico wasn't dominant in that game, and just the amount of firepower. 13 shots versus seven. Um, 7 shots on target versus two. Um, 7 corner kicks versus two. Very very similar amount of challenges, balls lost. It means Atletico de Madrid uh, were were basically very comfortable in that game, which is I think the thing that has surprised me the most about this match is how comfortable Atleti felt competing at that level.
Even in the second half, after Alvarez made it 4-2, um, the Real Madrid complaints about the free kick goal. Lenormand wasn't a meter away from the wall. It was an illegal position. The goal should have been disallowed.
Exactly. Yeah.
You wouldn't expect anything less from that club, weaponizing the media like that. But after the
Well, I
4-2,
mean,
Athletic,
you have the full set of complaints. I mean,
yeah,
the following day was like, no, there were so many controversial calls, and it was like, it feels like it's only controversial when it happens to Real Madrid. I mean, we're
of course,
suffering this week in,
yeah.
week out, but when it happens to them, you get a player that kicks another one in the head in the box, and they're still
They
telling you
argued it wasn't a penalty.
that it wasn't a penalty. Sarlo
Only
goes to
them.
celebrate, and we were all dreading that second yellow card because
Yes.
we all remember the Diego Costa incident.
Yeah, against
Who is the
Getafe.
only player I've ever heard of being expelled from a game for celebrating with the crowd. I've never seen a player get sent off for that. Never in my life.
Only for removing his shirt, but not for
And
celebrating with the crowd.
exactly, but Real Madrid did that in Copa last season. So I mean, it just goes to show how absolutely ridiculous. Carvajal asking for the red card for Nico Gonzalez and complaining about the ball boys, and Carvajal is the same guy that it ruined Griezmann's season with a 3-month injury that wasn't
Yeah.
even called as a foul.
Yes.
Um, we all remember what Chouameni did to Robin Lenormand exactly 1 year ago. I mean, how do these guys have the nerve of complaining after everything they've come away with, including the Champions League tie and everything that came out of that match? I mean, I'm just appalled. They're never going to admit defeat. It's always going to be someone else's fault.
It's always someone
It's always
else's
going to
fault.
be Real Madrid never loses. They're always ripped off. It's incredible.
Yeah. They even when they lose, they win.
It's incredible. The way of creating this crybaby narrative is just incredible. And they've been calling everybody crybabies for decades.
Yeah.
And they're the biggest crybabies in the world. So yeah. Moving on.
Lack of insight. Moving on. What was I
Talk
saying?
to me about Koke. Talk to me about Koke. Oh man.
Well, before I talk to you about Koke, who ran 2.7 kilometers more than any Real Madrid player did in the derby, even at 4-2 up when Atletico were sitting deep and defending in the low block that we were so accustomed to seeing Atletico defend in, there was never a sense that Real Madrid were going to get the 4-3. There was never a sense they were going to get 2 goals. There was a sense of Atletico where Real Madrid were rattled.
I,
You could
I
see
don't think that Atletico de Madrid is falling back as much as it used to. I
no, they're
think it's a
not.
very calculated mid-block
Hmm.
a way of falling back and waiting defensively. There were a few plays where Atletico de Madrid had the opportunity of creating that high pressure, and they decided to start right in front of the midfield, and they wouldn't go down to their half of the field. But when they started pressuring, the intensity of the pressure was enormous.
Hmm.
And I'm just amazed at the performance that Koke pulled off in the Derby.
Just
Griezmann
monumental.
is finally um, finding his his best shape, and
Yeah.
and I think that's also something that we can expect, that Koke and Griezmann are going to have these ups and downs for the rest of their career at Atletico, where they take a very long time to get in shape. Maybe that peak period of being able to compete at the maximum level, it just becomes shorter and shorter. And but in the case of Koke, it was at precisely the moment when the team needed him.
Yeah, to that
He,
point,
he
right
was there.
now, Koke and Griezmann are, I guess, kind of peaking, right? Like when
Exactly.
you
Yes.
hit a certain age, like Koke and Griezmann are, when you've played the number of matches and run the number of miles that they have run, you're going to have these peaks and valleys when you're age 33, 34, 35.
Mhm.
Atletico can't really withstand the valleys right now. But when Alex Baena regains match fitness, when Almada and Cardoso return, you hope that Atletico can better withstand those valleys. I have a Koke stat for you. Um, in the 4 games that he started this season, Atletico have won 3 of those 4 games. In the 4 games he hasn't started, Atletico have won only 1. For years, there has been, I don't think it's talked about very much because Koke has never been regarded as like one of Atletico's star players. He's going to go down as one of the most underappreciated players of his generation. I've long been fine with that. Koke has long been fine with that. Diego Simeone doesn't care. We know Koke's value. The people who need to know Koke's value know Koke's value. But one of the underrated narratives about Atletico for many years has been Koke dependencia, this active dependence on Koke. When Koke suffers his annual injury that costs him a month of the season, that usually coincides with Atletico's worst month of the season. And I think maybe it's a concern, right? That Koke is going to be 34 in January, and we're still relying on him to organize the team like this, to orchestrate the team like this, to give just the number and the quantity of instructions that he gives without a real replacement. We just haven't seen enough of Johnny Cardoso to know whether he's
Exactly.
going
Yeah.
to fit that bill. But it's maybe a bit concerning. But on the other hand, I mean, Koke is now 8 appearances away from 700. That's his next magic number. Griezmann got to his magic number on Tuesday. And it's like we talked about, I think, at the very start of the season, man. Just watching Koke is a gift. Like, this is what
And don't
every,
forget, we need him to play the second derby of the season,
yes,
so he becomes a player with the biggest amount of appearances
he
ever.
tied Ramos's record. He needs
He
to break
tied
Ramos's
Ramos,
record. He
which
can't he can't get injured when we play them again in
we have to
January.
take care of him. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, when I had my season ticket at the Vicente Calderon, I used to sit next to a guy that always wore the same T-shirt with a Coca-Cola font, "Enjoy Coke," uh, with the same instead of "Enjoy Coke," "Enjoy Coke."
That's beautiful.
And I think this is what we have to live with, that spirit of
Yeah.
enjoying the time we have left and just cherishing
And he's still
every
good.
game.
It's not like he's a bum who's just out there because Simeone likes him. He's
Uh,
still good as hell.
I mean, Griezmann sometimes gives that feeling of being a washed player, but
Hmm.
the fantastic thing about this is that Atletico have sufficient depth to wait for Griezmann and Koke to reach these peak moments and be able to fit them in, ease them into the team, and hopefully, um, the terrible stint of injuries that we've had at the beginning of the season is just part of the past, and Griezmann and Coque that understand perfectly well the role they can carry out as Atletico players and are not going to pressure Simeone for minutes or for playing time, are going to just enjoy these final years of being available and playing the time that the team needs them, and that will be a good sign because it means that Nico's working, Almada's working, Baena's in the team, Ardozo's working. Um, the defense will still be a disaster, but that's something that you have to fix in a transfer market.
Maybe a little
And
less so
what
disaster
about
as the season goes along. But
what about Sorloth, man? I mean, I I would have bet my house against Sorloth playing the Derby. I
yeah.
would be a homeless person right now. I mean, I did not. I mean, I
I
was
was dreading
so
it.
shocked when I saw that starting 11.
I saw the 11 come out and Surloth is in it. I'm like, oh no, oh this is
Oh
bad. This
why?
feels like a
It's not
losing
an oh no.
11.
It's an oh why. And
But you
and
know
the
what? It
thing is,
worked.
yeah, during the Spanish TV broadcast, one of the color commentators was reflecting on that and saying, at the end of the day, Sorloth is a guy that scores goals, and you need a guy that scores goals against Real Madrid. You need
And he
to
does score goals
beat
against Real
them.
Madrid.
You have to beat them at the punches, and when it goes to down to the line of who's able to put more firepower, we saw how Real Madrid morphed towards a ridiculous um, final 11 at the end of the match when they had like all of the players playing on the left and nobody
Yeah.
on the right, and it
yeah.
was like
Rodrigo, Vinicius were both on the left.
it was like you cannot accumulate more players in the area. They're bumping into one another, and they
Yeah.
weren't being effective at all.
No,
And,
that's why
and
I wasn't
that just
afraid at
goes to
4-2
show
up.
the weaknesses that Real Madrid presents. And I was positively surprised at how many um, weaknesses Simeone and his coaching staff detected in Real Madrid, and how they were able to exploit every one of them. How they thought that Carreras could lose that battle against Barrios, Llorente, and Giuliano Simeone. How they knew that Hausen was not as solid defensively if they were crossing the ball sufficiently, and how that would show how Militao was not a solid player. How Giuliano could contain Vinicius and even challenge Bellingham in many plays. And I think the only part that Atletico wasn't able to address effectively was Arda Güler, that Real Madrid, Xabi Alonso shot himself in the foot and just decided to sub him out when he was one of the best players.
Yeah.
Great for everyone. And Mbappe, who is a world class player and very much the real deal. And we can talk about that at the end of the podcast. Not like Vinicius, who is not the real deal, and we will always take him for the right reasons here at the Metropolitano.
Well, this will get us talking about the defense a little bit. Honestly, I thought that Lenglet has made worse errors than that one when he let Mbappe through for 1-1. He's made
I
worse
mean, it
mistakes than
was
that
just a
one.
matter of let the ball go out. I mean, what?
Yeah.
Why would you? Sometimes I think that Lenormand, mm, he makes a mistake and he tries to fix it, and then he ends up making two mistakes.
Yes.
Um, it's
Both of
it's a
those center
matter of
backs have that capacity.
overthinking their role
That's
instead
the
of just
problem.
trying to play it simple. And I don't know if Lenormand's problems have to do more with mental preparation or with physical preparation. I would say there's a lot of mental preparation that is just not there, not
I think
working
I
yet,
agree.
and because he can't have morphed into a subpar player overnight, and he was an exciting player. Maybe not the best defensive player you have, but I
He was
think that Atletico de
consistent.
Madrid would have a very good option to rotate with Jimenez and rotate with Hansko as central defenders. I've never figured out what the value of keeping Langlais is compared to other options. I still think that he's too slow for teams that play fast, and he's not solid enough for teams that play static. So whether they're crossing balls or they're trying to be- they're trying to beat the players through speed. I just think that we're always going to have a black hole there in the middle of the defense with Lenormand and Langlais, and I think it's pointing out the bare necessities that the team has. Moving forward, Atletico de Madrid should invest the majority of the money they have in top-notch central defenders.
Yeah, I think that's
Because
what they're going to do
Jimenez is
next
not
summer.
reliable. Hansko is playing out of position because he's needed elsewhere, and he's probably not going to be back until there's another situation or there are fullbacks that convince Simeone.
That's the point I was going to bring up, is that Simeone thinks Hansko is his best left back, in addition to being his best center back. Which is great news for Langlet. It's not great news for our heart rates, but it's great news for Clement Langlet. And Hansko is fine at left back. I think he's done a pretty good job as
He's
a
fighting
fullback.
everything, and that's what
He's a
makes
center
it a
back
little
though.
bit frustrating. I mean,
He's a terrific player.
I would prefer to have him. I mean, I consider a central defender a much more crucial piece than a fullback, and I just prefer to have him as a central defender because he's really efficient. He's a very efficient player, um, no nonsense kind of player that knows when to play strong, when to play intelligent, when to just get close to the player, but not foul him. You see Robin Lenormand, and he's just all over the place,
Yeah.
grabbing the player, pushing him, they're pulling the jersey, and it's just you're one one tug away from getting a penalty called against you. So
It kind of,
it's a constant fear with him,
yeah.
and I just think that those are the big problems. Sorloth is just not him, and the central defenders are not them. So we have those three positions that I think are the biggest areas to address because there's nobody on the roster that can fulfill that role. Jimenez is an enormous question mark. Will he come back? Will he play more than 20 games this season?
I wouldn't want to bet money on that, on either of
Exactly.
those. It
Yeah.
seems like he's going, or they're preparing him to come back after this upcoming FIFA break. We'll see. Apparently he completed the full session today, Thursday. So maybe he's in the squad this weekend, but at the very least, it seems like they're preparing him to come back by the end of the month, which would put him at 4 months out from this calf injury, this seemingly innocuous calf injury he picked up at the Club World Cup. That was in June. It is now October, for Christ's sake. He's supposed to be your defensive leader. He can't be missing 4 months. Like, I know he doesn't want to be hurt. He's not asking to be hurt. I'm sure it's mentally shattering for him. He's spoken about that before.
Yeah.
But you're the leader of the defense, my guy. You're the third captain at Atletico de Madrid. You've got to be available. You got to be there.
Mm-hmm.
It was nice to see him celebrating with the team after the derby. That was honestly, that was kind of the first time I'd seen him this year. I mean, it's not that I hadn't been thinking about him, but he hasn't really been around. He's been recuperating. Sticking with the defense, it does. Watching Lenormand and Lenglet, we are very far removed from the Godin and Miranda days, man. You know, it's like the Joni Mitchell song says, "You don't know what you got till it's gone."
It's painful to remember.
Man,
it's like comparing Falcao to Sorloth.
Don't do that. You can't do that to me. It's my favorite ever player.
I mean, the rest of the starting 11 holds up, but those three, I think you have some promise in some players, but some players they're just I don't know, I wouldn't say washed up, but I get the feeling when I read the comments that the sentiment is different among. I think that I'm wording the what is the mainstream opinion of Spanish fans. When I read our podcast fans, it's really interesting because normally they're more detached to the day to day. Maybe they're more objective. Do you think I'm being too cruel with Sorloth? Do you think he's more of a decent player than I think he is?
Sturloth, you and I have been debating Sturloth for like the last few months. He's such a confusing player. He more than most of the players on this team. He lives in that gray area more than most. I liked his performance in the derby. I think it was kind of a stroke of genius to start him. But he's had a couple of performances this season that were just unacceptable. The Alaves game was an unprofessional performance. He comes on at Mallorca and gets sent off in 10 minutes for a high boot. Sturloth is a mystery box, and you can't have your starting center forward be a mystery box. You can't have him be a gray area. He has to guarantee you goals. I'm not saying he has to be like Erling Haaland. Like, there's only one of him, and we don't have him. That's fine. You can win in other ways. And you can win with Julian Alvarez as your number 9, which we are doing right now because Alvarez is extraordinary. Sturloth, I think, is acceptable, fine as a rotational piece. That's not what he wants, but that is what works for this team.
I just pulled up his record. I mean, how many teams? 11 teams in
yeah, that's kind of been the defining trait of his career, is that he's never been settled anywhere.
And I think for a reason. Maybe it's on the player sometimes, but I think he's just not. He's not a good fit for Atletico de Madrid, and sometimes it's not the player's fault, and he just doesn't seem to be a good fit. And there are like two players.
And that's not his fault. That's who he is.
That's who he is. Maybe he goes somewhere else where he'll be a great fit. But I'm just thinking that Vlahovic is reaching the end of his contract and hasn't signed an extension, as far as I'm aware of.
You think he'd be a better fit than Sturloth?
I think he would be a perfect. It would be like instant.
I'm not as convinced as you are. I like Vlahovic. I'm not as convinced as you are about him.
And the golden dream is Lautaro. I mean, Lautaro would be. Yeah. But I mean, in that
last
case,
8 years,
our second kid should probably be the Argentinian jersey, and just stop simulating that we're not part of the Argentinian national team.
Can I talk to you about Jack Raspadori for a minute?
Oh yes, please do.
I've been kind of delighted with his performance.
I have a cousin that hates Raspadori.
He hates him. Why does he hate him?
Has been sending me hate messages every single match.
Why does he hate him?
Jack is on. That's the only thing he said. Jack is on. Let's see what he does. And it was like, and during the international break, I kept sending him highlights of Raspadori's performance and saying, "This kid he's got something in him. He's more of a he's more than just a rotational player. I think he can fulfill the Angel Correa role. When we signed Almada, I thought that maybe was the role, but Almada has a different kind of style. I think that he's more of a starting 11 material player. But in the case of Raspadori, I think I'm incredibly surprised at how well he speaks Spanish.
Yes,
which might talk a lot to how well he's adapted to the team, how happy he seems in interviews. And I just think if Atletico Madrid is able to have a decent season, there are players here that we might be building the foundation of what is to come. And I think that Giacomo Raspadori can be part of that, one of those building blocks. Maybe not a clear starter, but a very useful squad player and a very talented attacker that has finally managed to score his first goal, the Eintracht goal, to open the game. Very early goal. He's known to be a late scorer, a player that is kind of clutch and delivers in key moments. And we need those players because we do know that those games will come, and come March, come April, come May, we want a lot of Raspadoris there that are asking for the ball and not shying away from the ball. I don't know if you remember seeing Lemar. Sometimes he seemed scared to receive the ball in case he messed up. Sometimes I'd rather lose a game with players that are trying, like Nico Gonzalez or Raspadori, that are trying to be they're trying to be relevant players than to just win the match in any other way. It's all about the style and and creating that culture. And I think that Raspadori and Nico Gonzalez, against all odds, in my opinion, are are those kind of players that have bought into the culture. They're immediate fits, and I'm really happy that they've signed for the team. And I wouldn't have expected Nico Gonzalez to be this important this early on.
Yeah, maybe not
And
this soon.
I'm hoping that Raspadori's role grows as time goes by.
Hey, Nico, you know I was a fan of that signing. I think a lot of people were doubting it. I understood why. He had a bad year at U of A last year, but we've talked about this. U of A are a bit of a mess. Nico, just he's fit here like a glove. Just the attitude, the aerial ability, the simplification of Atletico's play from the left wing. And he's not even he's a right winger. That's where he prefers to play.
Yeah.
We thought he was going to be Giuliano's competition or maybe supplant Giuliano in the 11. They're playing together and they're playing well. They're opening up those spaces, those interior spaces
And
where Julian Alvarez can attack
he's
center
a
backs.
player that is always attacking the box. He always
Yes.
wants to
Yes.
he wants to have a presence in the box, which is something that Atletico was unable to crack. It was like an unbeatable
Attacking movement has been a big
and
issue for years.
some players were some fans were asking to maybe move Llorente forward and maybe solve a problem by creating another one in the back. So
Mhm.
I mean Llorente's working where he is. Uh, just let him be. And I don't know if that would have been the right call, but now that Nico Gonzalez is there, I don't see Llorente moving anywhere anytime soon, except on occasions where the 11th it requires that move forward.
I have speaking of Llorente, I have a Llorente stat for you. He has played at least 90 minutes in 27 consecutive games dating to the 4th of
Wow.
March.
So he needs some rotation, right?
Well, knowing him, I mean, knowing Marcos, just I'm sure it's a point of pride. I'm sure he would be furious if Cholo took him off.
He's sunbathed. He's
Listen,
fasted. He's an intermittent faster. He's
it's
drunk his
something in the
coffee,
chemtrails.
half naked, sunbathing at 7 degrees every morning.
No
Uh,
sunscreen whatsoever. It's bad for him, apparently.
no sunscreen.
Whatever theories he's
His,
espousing, it's working for him.
what are the
Let
name
him
of
be.
those expensive glasses he wears? The blue block glasses. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the real dad glasses he's got.
he's he's quite he's really peculiar, but he's
We
a
love
really
him, man.
fun. Yeah,
We
he's
love
a
him.
fun player. He's fun to watch and fun to listen to. He's a
Yeah,
great player. And what
he's a.
about Julian's explosion, man?
I was going to talk about Julian next, and then we were going to go into the Spanish idiom
We've
segment.
we've gone so deep into the podcast and we still haven't talked about the star player for Atletico
I
Madrid.
mean,
I think
he
that
scores a hat trick against Rayo. He scores a brace against Real Madrid, capped by that spectacular free kick. How many times has he done that now? For
man of the match versus Eintracht. So
yeah,
he's
goal and
like
2 assists. He's
collected
showing
accolades.
in these 3 games, Ricky. He has shown just how complete a forward he is. Whatever Julian wants to do, he does. If you want, he reminds me of Diego Costa in a way that the way he's able to drive with the ball from his own half. His strength is
I don't know if it's
quality.
Diego Costa vibes. I get more David Villa uh,
Mm.
crossover with young Griezmann. It's like
That's a
there,
kind of
there,
a
there,
dream
there,
striker, isn't it?
yeah, there's so many things to like about Julian Alvarez and how he has that dog in him. He's always
He
fighting for the
does.
ball. And
It's his. I was going to bring this up. His attitude, his confidence, his swagger. The Panenka past the Eintracht
oh
goal
my god, yeah,
for
it's like
5-1.
what happened the last time
He nearly.
I kicked a Champions League penalty? I'm going for Panenka now. So yeah,
I mean, you have to be crazy to try that. You have
try
to
to
be an insane person.
double
Like,
touch that. Yeah.
um, I mean, just I can't say enough good things about him. We're very fortunate to have this player. Simeone in the last week he's repeated this line a couple of times. I don't think it's a coincidence. We have to keep Julian Alvarez here. We have to ensure he is at Atletico for many years so that he becomes a club legend, so that we win trophies with him as the star.
I think he's very close to signing a renewal contract.
That's what Ruben Arias said that at the end of the transfer window, that
Yeah.
he's very close to signing a new contract, which will be great news for everybody. Would put these really annoying untrue Barcelona rumors to bed, and keep Alvarez here. Atletico are a big enough club now. This was proven when Griezmann was here the first time. This was proven that Atletico are a big enough club to keep their stars and to keep their stars happy. Like, contrary to what some believe, players like to play for Diego Simeone. Madrid is a wonderful city. It's a major metropolitan area. Atletico are a huge club. And we're not going to have time to talk about it today, but on the next show, I want to talk to you about the Apollo stuff, the Apollo investment into the team and what that could look like. I talked about it with Danny a little bit last week.
I don't know if you've heard the news about Atletico hosting the Dolphins when they come for the NFL game. I mean,
Atletico are hosting them.
Atletico Madrid cannot be more annoying of a side. Imagine you have this this underdog team in your shadow for 100 years, and all of a sudden you start to fear that it's an end of an era, and Atletico are aspiring to be the dominant side of Madrid, and it's a little bit like the Manchester flip, and how Manchester United reigned supreme for so long, and all of a sudden they were second to another team that was considered just like a minor side. I think we're heading in that direction, that where Atletico Madrid is going to be able to challenge the dominance of Real Madrid, both as the dominant side of Madrid and permanent Liga contender, which is great news. Let's hope it does come to fruition. Not very sure if going down the lane of Apollo is going to make that happen, but I can see a lot of steps being taken in the right direction. So I'm hopeful that can be the reality.
Well, before we talk about, truly in the next decade plus, truly challenging Real Madrid every single year in, year out, let's win an away game this year first. We should do that first. We should try to beat CELTA at Balaidos on Sunday for our first away win of the year. CELTA are winless in La Liga this season,
but they're coming off a huge win for them.
They beat PAOK in the Europa League tonight. Despite playing pretty good football, despite having a pretty good midfield, Iago Aspas is still there after all these years. Has long been one of my favorite players to watch in La Liga. Maybe not my favorite personality, but he's been delightful to watch. Balaidos is one of those places where it feels like we go there every year and suffer, but under Simeone we have 10 wins, 2 draws, and only 2 defeats there. Haven't lost at CELTA in 7 years. It's a place where it just, again, feels like we always struggle there, and it's like, all right, we got a 1-0 win, let's go, let's move, 3 points.
And I think that they are going to feel the fatigue of having to compete in a different competition. Atletico Madrid, Real Madrid, Barcelona. Fortunately for Atletico Madrid, they're already into that rhythm. They've already made it part of their DNA. But for the rest of the teams, you see Atleti Bilbao struggle.
Athletic have really struggled.
I can see the Europa League sides struggling. Rayo Vallecano, CELTA struggle to stay competitive while they're also competing in Europa League, and it's this. For many of these sides, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. We saw that happen to Girona. How can you not put all your effort into these European ties and these European matches? You're going to give it your best. And what happens is, come Sunday, the motivation is not entirely there. Your legs are not entirely there. La Liga is a competition of small details, and those details fall onto the side, and all of a sudden you find yourself in a hole. And CELTA is right now in dire straits, and they're not in the best situation to receive Atletico Madrid, which has which has gone through such a change in recent times. I don't know. I'm hoping that they start the game strong, and that we see something closer to what we saw during the first 45, 50 minutes against Espanyol. and they're just able to extend that to a full match, because I think it'll be very difficult not to walk away with a win. If we do have that, we keep the balls away from the defensive line. We focus on taking the pressure to the other team.
Yeah.
And you see how I'm not talking about defending well anymore. I'm just talking about keeping the ball away. Like,
Just
keep the ball
defending like
forward.
average.
Yeah. Keep
Just,
attacking.
yeah.
This playbook. It's like, if they score 3, we score 4. I mean,
That's
whatever
kind
it
of where
takes.
we're at right now.
Whatever it takes. We're in whatever it takes mode, because, I mean, unfortunately, Oblak is still not there. Will he be there? Is it another case of a veteran trying to find his peak, his performance peak? Is he's starting to, little by little, we're seeing it every season, declining, and it's starting to become worrying. I think that we can't account for that many saves by Oblak this season. He's only had 1 clean sheet, and I do know he's playing behind one of the worst defensive lines Atletico de Madrid has had in a very long time. But all the same, Oblak has always been that last line of defense, that fail safe when all else failed, and it's just not there this season. And he has all the credit in the world. I will never utter a negative word against Oblak, but I think he might just be reaching a moment of his career where the natural decline that comes with age is starting to weigh in a visible way.
I feel like Oblak's still going to have a few games this year where he just bails Atletico out.
Yeah.
Balados is a place where he has bailed Atletico out before.
Kind of did it versus Rayo. He had a few
the save on Ithi
memorable
was a huge
intervention. Yeah. But I mean, we're used to praising the other goalkeepers in these matches and seeing how they come away with incredible performances. Before we started recording, you and me were talking about Mallorca's goalkeeper,
Leo Roman, for example, who could be an Oblak replacement in a year or two.
Yeah, at least a Musso replacement, someone to keep tabs on. Yeah, it's a situation to monitor. It does. In Spanish, they say "me ocupa, pero no me preocupa." It's like it's on my mind, but it's not something that's a worry yet. But the numbers are starting to build up. Right? It's starting to build up and turning into a thing.
One question for you about the CELTA game, and then we have to do our final segment. If you want the team to play, and as do I, the team to play how they did against Espanyol in the very first game of the season, would you start Alex Baena? Is Alex Baena ready to start? Is it crucial that he gets into this kind of rhythm before the international break?
I think maybe it is for the players, from the players' perspective. It's more important maybe for him than for the team, and that's a great problem to have. What is the best way of easing a star player in? Is it giving him the responsibility and saying, "You're a team leader, go out and prove it"? I mean, you're wearing number 10, that you chose that number. That's your role. Go do your thing. Go do the Baena thing. I mean, he is the flashy signing of the season. So we do want to have those players on the field. But at the same time, how many pieces do you move around? How much do you tinker the starting 11, and it still maintains the stamina and the push that we've seen in the starting 11? And we did get very different starting 11s against Real Madrid and against Eintracht. So
are we going didn't play on Tuesday? I mean, Serloth is in a good moment. Griezmann's in a good moment. Raspadori is in a good moment. It is a good problem to have.
Yes, I would probably see. I really don't know. I can see Baena starting, but I can also see Griezmann starting with Julian. I would never bet on Serloth starting a match, because I just don't. He's just not the style of player that I can understand his role in the bigger picture within the team right now as a starter. That said, Raspadori's in in good form, but he's a very valuable piece to sub in as the match progresses. So I would say that it maybe depends more on how Simeone sees what's better for the players' uh, morale than actually what the team needs. The team can play with Griezmann. They can play with Baena if he's ready for um, the rhythm of a full match. And I guess that's what they're measuring with the metrics and all that
Yeah.
minute data that nowadays teams compile.
All right, for the last few minutes here, man, I want you to give our viewers a lesson on Spanish idioms. There was a video
Okay.
that emerged from the Madrid derby of an interaction, a trash talk interaction between
Yeah.
Koke and Vinicius Jr., where Koke tells Vinicius, he's eating your toast. That's the literal
Yes,
translation of it. Who is he referring to, and what did
está
he mean?
comiendo la tostada. Yes,
Yeah,
it's a Spanish idiom that means very literally means someone else is eating your toast. It's like eating
like
your bread.
I love a good tostada, but this is not quite what he meant.
Exactly. What they're saying is that that person is threatening your livelihood. They have the upper hand. They've beaten you at a competition, at a race. They have the upper hand. So what do you, who Koke was pointing to, and Koke is not much of a trash talker, but against Real Madrid, he just morphs into
He
another
does.
kind of player. And I think this has to do more with this trashy Real Madrid that has decided to not be elegant. And I think it's probably started way back in the times of Robinho and players that would um, really stress on the theatrics. And this generation of players, they've got into quite a lot of uh, quarrels with other sides. They've been quite disrespectful, and there are several players to point fingers at. We were just talking about Baena. We all know the Valverde Baena
Yes.
incident.
Yeah.
That I mean, apparently at the end of the day, was Baena's fault for having his face too close to Valverde's fist. Apparently,
Yeah.
that's how narratives go nowadays. But in the case of Vinicius, he's always trying to demean the other side. He doesn't want to win a game. He wants to humiliate the rival. And in that business of being such a terrible winner and a sore loser, he's always using that underground talk um, get under rival players' skin. He's had incidents with Mallorca, Rayo Vallecano, with Valencia,
Valencia last year when he was the
Villarreal. Um,
Segunda. Yeah.
I mean, Valencia has just sued Netflix for the
Like the
for what they
characterization of
claim for the
Mestalla, the documentary.
characterization of what they uh, they dubbed in the Vinicius documentary. The comer la tostada idiom, the eating someone else's toast, is something that Coque said to Vinicius as a way of getting back at him. And I think he did because he was pointing at Mbappe all the time, like saying, "You know, you're not the star player. You were in the Ballon d'Or race last year, and now
He
you're."
finished 16th
Um,
this year.
yeah, I don't know if you know the way that the players have been. Sorry, the fan bases have been poking fun at Vinicius. They've instead of Balón de Oro, they've called him Balón de Playa, which is like a
Yeah.
beach ball, and
Yeah.
they've been throwing beach balls at
They've been
him
throwing beach
all
balls,
around. There
which is
was
pretty
there
great.
was one there was one derby where there was a where all the beach balls from the official Atletico store were sold out. Um, and they
That's
were like
awesome.
there were beach balls floating around the stands, and the player, instead of digging deep and just trying to be a good player because he is a talented player, engages in these theatrics, and there's
He
a
doesn't
long
have
list of
to.
incidents, and especially what I think annoys the fan bases so much is how protected he is by by the narrative and by the media, and how um, they're always taking it to a racial dispute, and how they're mixing racism with the amount of backlash that Vinicius is receiving. It's not about his race. He's just an
No.
idiot. He's just an idiot. It's that
and,
easy.
and to be
And
clear, like
and
Vinicius can be a spoiled brat, but in no circumstance, by no means, does that mean he deserves to be racially abused. That's unacceptable.
exactly, yes.
That
And
is,
when that has
yeah,
happened, I mean, there have been people arrested among Atletico fans,
yes,
and I think it's happened in other stadiums, and that's despicable
yes,
and absolutely intolerable. Uh, but this is not the case. The case is that he's extremely disrespectful.
yeah,
Uh, he he's had run-ins with Koke before, showing him his Champions League badge, or
yeah. He keeps
uh,
saying how many Champions
on
Leagues he's won.
how many
That's his
Champions League he's
number one
won, and he says,
defense.
you haven't won anything, man. What did you win? What did you personally win?" And that kind of conversation has gotten it's become a recurring topic. And the other day he tried to get under Giuliano Simeone's skin, was absolutely unable to pick a
Giuliano
fight
just
with
brushed
him.
him off.
So he started with Koke, and Koke just had the answer. I mean, Koke is more than seasoned in these kind of battles. He's
Yeah.
had trash talk incidents with Cristiano Ronaldo, who I
Yes, I
think
was
is
going to bring that one up.
another huge instigator of this kind of trashy behavior by Real Madrid, who used to
Mhm.
be a team that was known for their gentleman kind of treatment to other sides, and how
Yeah.
respectful they would be. And it's even in their anthem. In their anthem, there's a line that says, "When we lose, we shake the hands of our rivals and we wish them farewell." That part of the anthem has
No, nowadays we
is
complain to
yeah,
Marca about 5 incidents in the derby that should have seen an Atletico player sent off or a goal disallowed.
exactly.
That's
I
what they do
mean,
now.
it's turned into uh, these matches have turned into something that Atletico fans don't especially cherish. They just wanted to they want it over with. This
Mhm.
time it's been so sweet that I think we are um, enjoying the spoils of this victory, and being able to have a few conversations with all these people that always come back to you. If it's an Atletico win, it's like, oh, this is what you celebrate. You celebrate victories instead of trophies. We're more into the trophy section, and it's like, yeah, man, you're they what Atletico fans are say a lot is that Real Madrid fans and Real Madrid media have turned into the happiness police. They tell you when you can be happy and how
Yeah.
happy you can actually be.
Fun police. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. The fun police. And this incident with Vinicius just goes to show that it's going to be an ongoing rivalry. Real Madrid would be, I mean, would not make a mistake if they moved on from Vinicius, and they started to shed all of those controversial players that they have. I think that Rudiger is another player that's
Rudiger's
had
going to leave at the end of the
really
season. Yeah.
nasty incidents with
Yeah.
more than one fan base.
This
Uh,
gesture last season, I'm never going to forget that
the gesture,
in March. Never going to forget that.
provoking red cards from other players. He's done it even before he arrived to Real Madrid. It's just gotten even worse at Real Madrid.
You had a prop you were gonna show
I
me
had a
before we
prop, man,
signed
and
off
you
here.
know that there's a chant that is very popular before derbies, that Atletico fans started to sing, and of course Real Madrid fans started to sing after Atletico fans, because that's what they do. They're into the copycat business.
We're the
Um,
trendsetters,
and
not them.
exactly, yes. And it's the one that goes, "Jugadores, jugadores, hemos venido a ganar, que se enteren los vikingos, que mandan la capital." It's like, players, players, we've gone to win, but the Viking knows who reigns supreme in the capital. And if you reign over the capital, you would normally wear a crown, but in Madrid, what you normally wear is this chulapo hat. And I think that the way of ending this podcast, where we reign supreme for a few months over the Vikingos, would be to just give the Real Madrid fans a tip of the hat and say, "See you next time. Better luck next time, or not."
Brilliant. Genial. All right, we're gonna leave it there. You look great in that hat, man. It
Yeah, man, I've
really
got to,
flatters you.
I've got to get you one of these when you come here,
I would love
so
that.
you can have your chulapo swag when you go back to the States.
I would love nothing more.
Okay.
Thank you all for listening to that Atleti podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're watching here on YouTube. Leave a comment as well. In addition, if you don't want to see our faces or Ricky's hat, you can listen to the audio form of this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, really wherever you prefer to listen. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at that Atleti podcast, intothecalderon.com, Facebook and Twitter at Into the Calderon, on Twitter/X at JB Barron. He's at Ricky AM. And until next time, adios.
All right.